All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Double honor to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to our Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Aharon coming back at you with another lesson. The Lord will be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and I want to go into a couple of articles that I came across. I believe it was yesterday. And It's very interesting how these things are all taking place all at the same time, right? And I say these things, and I'm going to go right into it. All right. But before I do so, let's start off with this precept here. Just a few verses in the book of Exodus, the 9th chapter. As is written, there is no new thing under the sun. Right. And the Lord said that he's going to plague this modern day Egypt like he did the previous Egypt, the land of Mitzrayim. Okay. Because America is modern day Egypt, or at least the spirit carries the spirit of Egypt. Okay, as is written in the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter. Okay, but let's get this in the book of Exodus 9 real fast, right? Exodus chapter 9, verse 8, it says, "And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses and unto Aaron, Take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast throughout all the land of Egypt." And that is a sign of a plague or / pestilence. Okay, and as Yahushua mentioned in many different prophets of old, all right, the Heavenly Father has a specific judgment, okay, or part of the judgments that he's going to bring in specifically will be the judgment of pestilence. Okay, when you go into that word pestilence, let's do that right now. Still nothing, huh? Online etymology dictionary. And then we're going to look up the word pestilence. Oh, okay, pestilence, right? And the word, you already have the word pest in it. Okay, it says any infectious or contagious disease, fatal epidemic. Okay, plague, epidemic, a plague, an unwholesome atmosphere. Okay, it says infected, unwholesome, noxious, right? Deadly disease, plague. Okay, it says here, Middle English, wickedness, evil, sin, a vice, that which is morally pestilential. Ooh. Okay. All right. So the word pestilence literally means any infectious or contagious disease. Okay. So the Lord sent out this right here. All right. The boils that broke forth, all right, upon man and upon beast all throughout the land of Egypt. Okay. It says, and they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up toward heaven, and it became a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. Okay? And the Lord Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord Yahweh had spoken unto Moses. Okay? So it's the same thing that's happening modern day today. All right? And now you have this going on. Okay? It says here 28 days later, and that's a play on with 28 days later, which was the whole concept of this outbreak monkey. Okay, as a matter of fact, you know what? It's fitting, so let's look into that. All right, 28 days later. Let's see if anything pops up. And we'll read what it says, because this is all going into predictive programming. Okay, 28 days later. It says 28 days later, sometimes stylized with ellipsis as 28 days later, is a 2002 post-apocalyptic horror film directed by Danny Boyle. Boyles, right? It says, and written by Alex Garland. It stars Cillian Murphy as a bicycle courier who awakens from a coma to discover that the accidental release of a highly contagious, aggression-inducing virus has caused a breakdown of society. Ah, okay. Let's see. It says here, let me see, where's the plot? There you go, plot. A group of animal rights activists infiltrates a laboratory in Cambridge, which houses abnormally aggressive chimpanzees. One activist frees a chimp despite a scientist's warning that it is infected with a highly contagious virus he refers to as rage. Okay, rage, that's very interesting. It attacks her, and within seconds of exposure, she succumbs to the virus. She immediately attacks the others, and the virus spreads rapidly across Great Britain, resulting in total societal collapse. Okay, now we always say that these kind of movies and shows that they give in the theaters is all something known as predictive programming. Okay, which is where they use the art of Hollywood or media slash entertainment to tell the public things before they happen. Okay, no matter what the topic is, it could be a disease, it could be a cyber attack, it could be a famine, all right, it could be martial law, it could be a war, okay, anything. But they'll show you or they'll depict it in a movie, all right, years, sometimes decades in advance before the thing that they showed you actually takes place. Now, that is done for multiple reasons, but the most important reason is all because of psychological advantages. Okay, because when you have people under such duress when they're watching a show or a movie, they tend to imitate those things that they're going to see if those things that they are watching happens in real life. Okay, so if you're showing them about wearing masks and taking Vanessas and standing 6 feet apart from each other and not visiting your family, all right, because of a so-called wide outbreak or widespread of a so-called virus, whatever they see in the movies, whenever it starts playing out in real life, people are not going to push back too much. Okay, they're not going to push too much. All right, they're not going to push back too much, I should say. All right, it says here. So that's the plot, right? I'm not going to go all into it, but that's the plot, right? So again, it's very interesting, right? A virus that infects a monkey, and then the monkey is exposed. A human being is exposed to the monkey, and then she goes around spreading the whole shit, right? So let's read this. It says, 28 days later, terrifying plague of zombie squirrels. Remember that word zombie, right? Erupts as critters covered in oozing pus-filled sores are seen swarming gardens. Okay, and this is actually very disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. This is not natural. Okay, these things are not natural. These things don't just happen out of nowhere. All right, because nature has its own way of keeping and maintaining homeostasis and balance. Okay, the only way you're going to have something like this happen is if somebody is disrupting the balance of nature. Okay, we know who that somebody is. All right, so let's read this. It says, a plague of terrifying zombie squirrels has gripped backyards across America. Okay, and hey, look, man, we have squirrels running around all the time, all over the place. If I'll personally, I'm taking all kinds of precautions. All right, especially when you have pets, you have dogs that have, backyards that could run around, chase after squirrels and all that. You want to be very careful. Okay, you got deer that be running around. If you live in a place that's, it's not too much in a city area, you're gonna have interactions with deer. Okay, and they also part of this whole process. All right, it says squirrels may look cute with a little with their big bushy tails on a good day, but these ones have been seen covered with ghastly pus-filled tumors. Okay, and again, like I said, these are not natural. Okay, let me click on these pictures and see what they got going on. Hope this thing doesn't start acting up. It looks like it's acting up. All right, every time, bro. It says I see what the elder Malcolm will be going through. It's crazy. All right, it says let me see if I can refresh it so it can stop. This is crazy. Anyway, it says these grotesque sores make the animals look like something out of a zombie apocalypse. Ooh. Okay. Pictures show them absolutely coated in these unsightly growths around their heads and limbs. Homeowners in the US and Canada have spotted these disfigured rodents, leading to panicked speculation as to what's wrong with them. Sightings and sightings of the diseased squirrels date as far back as 2023 in Maine, the Daily Mail has reported. And I remember, I think it was last summer, all right, there was news coming out about rabbits, bunnies, all right, they were having these black horns or tentacles that was popping out of their bodies and their heads and shit. And the news came out and said, oh, there's nothing to be worried about. It's just some fungus that's growing out of them and shit. I say, yo, bro, this is not normal, man. All right. But these stupid ass, dumbass Americans, they just go, oh, yeah, it's not, it's just fungus that's going around these animals. We just need to be careful. They're not going to do no research. They're not going to question anything. They're just going to take it as been given to them. It says, one Reddit user posted, at first, I thought I was eating something. Salaki, hold on. At first, I thought it was eating something from my front beds, but then I realized it was on its face. But while the descriptor of zombie squirrel has taken off online, wildlife experts think there's a specific condition they have. Okay? Look at this bullshit. Look at this shit. Man, this is crazy. Satan always got to jump in here, man. There you go. Yeah. All right. So continuing, it says, but while the descriptor of the zombie squirrel has taken off online, wildlife experts think there's a specific condition they have. Okay. And listen, man. Like I said, this ain't no conspiracy or none of that. This is literally Esau playing around in these labs and putting it out in the public. Okay, this is what they do, man. These animals don't just have these crazy things just spawn out of nowhere. All right, unless somebody's interfering with it, you're not just gonna have these things just pop up out of nowhere like that. Okay, it says squirrel fibromatosis has been identified as the likely culprit, a skin condition that is caused by leporippox virus. Leporippox virus. All right, let's go with that. All right, it says it spreads through direct contact between healthy squirrels and the lesions or saliva on those that are infected. That sounds like a zombie plot, if you ask me. Okay, they show you that in that video game, The Last of Us. Okay, and then they show you that also. I think it came out as a TV series as well. I never got the chance to watch it, but the video game, I think I played it, the first one that came out years ago. All right, and in that game, it was pretty much based on a so-called post-apocalyptic world where humanity was predominantly wiped out by some form of fungus. Okay, and their faces become, crazy, just like these damn squirrels and shit. All right, so if their lesions and or saliva touches you, you can be affected. All right, look at this. There's the bunny I was talking about. Let's see if we could watch it real quick. Let me see. This is annoying, yo. These ads that just come out of nowhere is so annoying. It's almost done. So you got a bunny fighting. What the hell was that? No. We're not doing this again. I thought I was going to see. They just showed you a bunny jumping over with a squirrel. Anyway, let's keep moving on. All right. It says hold on. There you go. The condition leads to wart-like growths spotted on the infected squirrels, which can burst open and ooze fluid. Oh, that's disgusting, man. Oh, man. Oh. It says, however, residents will be relieved to hear this is how they play the game. All right, they'll be relieved to hear that the disease is specific to squirrels and cannot spread to humans or other animals. Interesting. This disease is just specific to just Squirrels? So not just rodents in general, just squirrels. Oh, Esau. It's just a matter of time before this thing switches over to humans. Okay, it says, but Chevenel Webb from the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, nevertheless, does not suggest trying to help infected squirrels. Oh, but I thought nothing could happen. It wouldn't matter, right? Would it? Yeah, right. It says, I would not recommend trying to capture a squirrel that has the virus, Webb told the Bangor Daily News. It is naturally occurring and will run its course in time. Yeah, right. The ugly growths will typically heal of their own accord without the need for any medication. But from time to time, cases of squirrel fibromatosis can affect internal organs and lead to death. And it's not the only disease that can turn otherwise cute animals into nightmare fuel. Ooh. Uh-oh. It says horror images of rabbits with tentacles sprouting. Yeah, I'm not going to click on it because this thing is acting up. Sprouting out of their heads have gone viral online. Nightmarish pictures of the bunnies has prompted comparisons with the video game and HBO hit show. Oh, look, The Last of Us. See, they talked about it. They're talking about it. All right, and in that show, what happened? It literally went to humans. Okay, it became a thing that infected humans, man. All right, they call them the infected. All right, it says some initially thought that the images were AI generated, but unfortunately, the horrible disease is actually real. It says the bunnies are suffering. I think this thing is showing some fuck shit over here. It says, where we stop off at? Right here. The bunnies are suffering from Schopapilloma virus, which causes these black growths to sprout from their faces. Once the rabbit's immune system has fought off the virus, the horns will disappear. Man, that's BS. All right, I wouldn't. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this creepy weirdo stuff. Look at this one here. Look, bro. This doesn't happen on its own, man. It says the virus also cannot be passed on to other species, including dogs and humans. Why are they putting that out there? Because they don't want people to be alarmed. All right. If I see something like this, bro, I'm not running the risk of saying, well, the experts said it doesn't cross over to humans, so I'm just gonna leave it. No. However, people are still advised not to touch any infected rabbits. So if it's not gonna do nothing, why are you advising that? Right? Why are you advising that? Because it's very interesting. Let's read this. Like I said, this is all happening all at the same time. It's very interesting, right? It says, mutant deer with horrifying flesh bubbles spotted in multiple U.S. states as fears of an outbreak grip the nation. Okay? It says, deer across the U.S. have been spotted. Let me move this up. I hate these weirdo ads and stuff, man. How do I even get rid of this stuff? It says, deer across the U.S. have been spotted with tumor-like growths hanging off their bodies, joining rabbits and squirrels as animals showing signs of widespread disease. Okay? From the Northeast to the Pacific Northwest, pictures on social media continue to document cases of strange bubbles growing all over local deer, from their faces to their legs. Man. Over the last 2 months, people have photographed deformed deer in New York, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. All right. It says here, wildlife officials have already identified the condition as deer cutaneous fibroma, better known as deer warts. The condition is due to a virus transmitted between deer in all parts of the U.S., and experts have warned that it's spreading this summer. The virus mainly spreads through disease-carrying insects like mosquitoes and ticks. Oh, okay. Which pass on the blood of infected deer to healthy animals nearby. You hear that? So the first one, they were talking about, oh, the zombie squirrels. Oh, don't worry about that. It doesn't infect any other species besides squirrels. And then they tie in that, oh, there's a virus that's going out there that's now affecting deer and bunnies. But see, this one here, it can affect other creatures through mosquito bites or ticks. You see how they're playing the game? See, so they say, "Oh, don't be alarmed. It's not infectious." You know what I'm saying? But then the next article says, "Oh, this thing can pass. You can be, it can affect you, all right, through the passing on the blood, all right, by way of what, a tick or a mosquito." You see? It says, since these potentially deadly pests breed and multiply in warmer weather, Americans should expect to see more cases on the condition wherever deer may live. The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife said papillomas are most frequently seen during the late summer and into the fall. Isn't that the times that we're in now? Probably due to increased biting insect activity during this time of the year. So you don't think Esau is going to weaponize that? When we see them weaponize everything, you don't think he's going to weaponize? Look at this. Look at this, man. Look at this. Look at this. This is The Last of Us, bro. Oh, man. Oh, making my skin crawl. It says deer warts spread by a virus which is transmitted through mosquito and tick bites. So if you get bitten by a tick that has bitten a damn deer like this, or a mosquito that has jumped on a deer like this, or a couple of deers like this, what do you think is going to happen to you? If that's how this thing is spreading. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy stuff, man. And like I said, this is all stuff that they're doing. They're playing around in the labs and shit. Okay? This year, Americans have also been encountering mutated rabbits and squirrels, which have been spreading their own species-specific viruses throughout the U.S. These animals have dealt with similar sores and growths in their bodies as well. Okay? And it says what? It's mutating. That's the key. Mutating. All right? It says the condition spreading through deer this summer is part of the same broad family of viruses that can affect humans. You hear that? That's the part I wanted to get to. Okay? It can affect humans. Known as papilloma viruses, which target the skin and mucous membranes. All right? In humans, papilloma viruses cause conditions like common warts, plantar warts, and genital warts. Oh, God. Man. Whew. Yo, imagine somebody. Hey, this is very interesting because it reminds me of I think it was a couple of years ago when they had that whole MP, the monkeypox shit. Remember that? And people's faces, they were showing the pictures and videos, or they were saying that the people in the GAY community, and they was getting all that stuff, right? So who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe that was their way of, explaining what's about to happen as a side effect for all those people that took the J. All right, because I believe a lot of things that you're about to start seeing soon, whether it be cancer or these kind of warts and all kinds of different shit, is going to be a result of those who took the J, the jump shot. Okay, they have to explain it. They have to find a way to explain all those sudden, things that's going to be befalling people soon. Something that they could actually capitalize on and call it another, so-called demic or whatever. The side effects of what they did 5 years ago, they're going to just claim it as a demic and then just roll from there. There's many different ways Esau could go, but we're not ruling that out. All right. So it says here, this is disgusting, but it says, and some strains are linked to cancers such as cervical or throat cancer. All right. And I mentioned cancer simply because you have people who have stakes in that, like companies like Oracle and Larry Fink, Oracle and what's that guy? Larry Ellison. Okay, Larry Ellison is pushing heavy for a cancer Vanessa. Okay, so if this is going to be something that's going to cause cancer to rise astronomically amongst the people, that's another way they could make money off of that, man, by selling their so-called drugs and technologies and shit, nanotech and all that. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right. So it says, while both deer and human papillomaviruses lead to growths by infecting skin cells, the deer version is species specific, meaning it's adapted only to infect deer and cannot jump to humans. Bro, Bro, what? Or other animals due to differences in how the virus attaches itself and enters cells in different species. But yet they just said that it could also can affect humans. They said that viruses that can affect humans, but they got to cover their ass. I'm going with the first one. All right, I'm going with the first one. It says deer warts can be small, like a pea, or grow as big as a football. Brah. Appearing gray, black, or fleshy, and often hairless. That's disgusting. It says while disease transmitting insects are believed to be the main culprit spreading the virus, direct contact with the warts may also infect deer. Dr. Kristen Mansfield, a wildlife veterinarian in Washington state, told Fox 13 that deer can spread the virus if they share the same feeding areas, sleeping spot, or rubbing posts. Usually, a tree males use to mark their territory during mating season. Look at that. It could just spread just like that. Okay? Deer warts are found across the entire range of white-tailed deer in North America, and they're common throughout the U.S., with no specific state being much more affected than others. Okay, then you got the bunnies and shit. Look at that shit. Look at that. And you got the squirrels, right? From the first article. Look at the deer. Okay? Who do you think is behind all of this stuff here? Okay? All of this stuff here happening all at once? Look at this. Let's watch this. Bro, it's oh man. Look at this. Oh man. See? Look at this. Oh, hold on. Let's go back. Let me click on this. Look at this. Oh, it's this thing here. See? Oh my God. Bro. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's The Last of Us. Oh, man. Whew. Well, man, that's what, hey, this is part of the plagues, man. The pestilences. Imagine some shit like this on humans. Look at this. You're going to see people walking in the street. Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? Whew. Making my skin crawl. Slack it, man. I don't think I could run through this article like this. We're just going to end it off here. Because I'm starting to itch. Just looking at it, man. Look at this. Look at this. Hey, man, if you see some shit like this, you stay far, far away because they might start chasing you down. Typically on DSC people, they run around and shit. Nah, they might start chasing you down. All right, but this brings me to this. All right, and then we're going to close it out. Okay, this is Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. And this is something that was brought out by the CDC. Okay, let's read. It says, Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. It says, is a blog post made in May 2011 by the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, that uses a zombie apocalypse to raise public awareness of emergency preparedness. Okay? In a blog post titled Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse, the director of the CDC's Office of Public Health Preparedness and Response, Rear Admiral Ali S. Khan, writes, quote, take a zombie apocalypse for example. That's right. I said zombie apocalypse. You may laugh now, but when it happens, not if, but when it happens, almost like he has pretty much foresight of what's to come. When it happens, you'll be happy you read this. And hey, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about how to prepare for a real emergency. Interesting, right? Comparing the upcoming hurricane season, they got Hurricane Erin, all right, and possible demics. Interesting. This is back in 2011. To flesh-eating zombies from the horror film Night of the Living Dead, the video game series Resident Evil, Khan recommends Americans prepare for natural disasters as they would have prepared for ravenous monsters. Sounds like the plot in the movie 28 Days Later, the monkey, Rage, right? Ravenous monsters. The blog post was part of a larger zombie themed campaign retired by mid 2022 and replaced with the Prep Your Health CDC website. Okay? So they're putting things out there. This is the former director of the CDC, and he used a zombie apocalypse as an example. And this is no joke because he used the word when, not if, but when it happens. Okay? So, yeah, man, we know. Let's see. Let's read. It says, Diago said people were visiting the CDC's blog following the following CDC tweets because they were most interested in zombies and were asking what weapons and the agency would recommend to fight zombies. Khan's response to this inquiry was, remember, we are a public health center, so we're not going to recommend weapons. We will leave that to the law enforcement folks. Chris Good from the Atlantic saw the absence of weapons recommendations, albeit tongue-in-cheek, as a downside to the CDC's warning and wrote, if a zombie apocalypse does happen, and this is important, do not follow the CDC's guidelines as your only course of action. The CDC zombie plan includes no mention of shotguns, torches, blah, blah. Okay. Or really any worth, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So they just kind of like rambling on with the whole CDC thing, but the point is this, all right? There's a preparedness zombie apocalypse, blog post that was made back in 2011. Okay. And it goes back into something known as predictive programming. He's giving you a heads up over a decade in advance. Okay. Over a decade in advance that when it happens. Okay. So are we starting to see, all right, the signs of what could possibly be a zombie apocalypse very soon? Who knows? Okay. Who knows? But I wouldn't take this lightly. Okay. I'll pay very close attention to this because again, it goes back to the prophecies that the Lord said he's going to plague Egypt once again. All right, there's no new thing under the sun. So you had the boils that happened. All right, remember the Lord said he's going to cut off man and beast, all right, from this land. Okay, so whatever pestilence that's going to happen, remember when they talk about the BF, the angry bird flu, and all these different things, they attack the food supply and then eventually they attack the people. Okay, food poisoning, all kinds of different stuff. All right. But when you watch these movies, they put it in your face to let you know these are things that are going to be happening. All right, and it makes matters even worse for people because it's also biblical prophecy. Okay, let's get that, and then we're gonna close it out. Okay. See, you notice lately these lessons are straight to the point because we don't have to really say much. We just gotta show you what's popping. That's it. Okay. There's a book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 7. It says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That's what you're seeing now. Okay, that's why Trump is trying to broker a peace deal with Russia and them, but that's not going to work. Okay, he knows that. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast telling Joe Rogan that, the prophets that say that the world is going to come to an end in the Middle East. You know that, right? You know that, nigga. So why are you playing all this? We're going to bring peace. I'm going to bring peace. I'm going to save the world from World War III and all this shit. Are you nuts? Ain't you the same motherfucker that says that you read the Bible? Right? Lately, he just said, Trump, that is, he said, what? He's doing everything in his power. He wants to go to heaven. Nigga, this is your heaven, bro. What you mean go to heaven? This is your heaven. Ain't you the king of Babylon? What more heaven? How much more heavenly can it get as an Edomite? You're the king of Babylon. You rule the world. So stop with this, I want to go to heaven shit. Nigga, this is your heaven. Stop it. All right, you're not an Israelite. You're an Edomite. Your next go round, you're gonna be in slavery. The tables are turning. Okay, so the Lord says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places." Pestilences, right? It says here, any infectious or contagious disease, fatal epidemic. Okay, and this will be a sign of a pestilence. Now you wait till it mutates and it starts hitting humans, then we're going to really have some fun with it. All right. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just wanted to bring that out real quick. All right. Just want to tap into this. All right, but here, let's finish off and then we're gonna close it out. It says pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay? So let the games begin. All right, let the games begin. But we'll be paying attention to see what happens, with this whole zombie apocalypse thing. All right, just pay close attention and see how it plays out and what kind of steps they're going to be taking. Okay, never let a good crisis go to waste. Anyway, I'm going to leave it off there. Lord willing, you are edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai Ba'asham, Rachah Kodash, the water Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Shalom.